Hello everyone, welcome back to 4am Art. This is Justin and I'm going to show you how to draw this eye step by step. This is going to be from imagination, and if you use the same principles, you can draw this anytime. I'm going to make it somewhat realistic but somewhat stylized as well. So just start with the upper eyelid here and a couple lines that kind of taper towards the inner part of the eye, or the part that's closer to the nose. This is the upper eyelid with eyeliner, that's why I made it dark. And we're starting to draw in the eyelashes and make sure they're curved and make them a little bit shorter as we get to the medial part of the eye, which is again closer to the nose. Now I start drawing in the iris and put in my highlight. You can make this square like a window in this case, or it could be circular, but make sure you always put a highlight. It just makes it so much nicer and more alive. The pupil of course will be concentric with the outer part of the iris here, and I'm just starting to shade in the iris using radiating lines, and I'll make this a little bit more clear as we go along. I added a little bit of a shadow underneath the upper eyelid because it does cast a shadow onto the eyeball, in this case specifically onto the iris. And here's the detail that I was talking about. You always want to add some radiating lines there onto the iris just to make it pop a little bit more. Remember that the white of the eye, the sclera, is not really white, so it will have some gray tones to it, more towards the outer part of the eye, just to show that it is round, it is a ball. And here I'm stylizing the lower part of the eyelid with the really dark tone there, and adding the lower eyelashes. Again, these are random curves and getting longer as we go towards the outer part of the eye. Here's what I was talking about with adding some gray tones to the white of the eye. And of course there's a tear duct on the inner part, so you always want to kind of add that too if you want this to look a little bit more realistic. We'll go ahead and start working on the fold of the upper eyelid, and remember that this is a fold, so this will be fairly dark as far as a line, but there will be a little bit of a gradient as you add more of the shading tones to make it look more three-dimensional. And you can start by just using pencil strokes as I'm doing here, and then you can blend things a little bit more depending on how realistic you want it and you don't want the pencil strokes to show. People will say that you should never use your finger because you do have oils in your finger, but heck, that's for like long-term issues with affecting the paper and stuff. But don't worry, just use your pencil or use a blending stump or even a piece of tissue paper. Here I'm starting to put in the eyebrow, really dark tones initially just to go a little bit faster, and then generally on the inner part, like right here, you can start seeing some of the hairs spread out a little bit, so you can see some of the details. So here I'm just adding those, and I'll usually add a few more on the outer part, just like right here. So with that, the eye is pretty much done. You can just of course go back and touch areas up a little bit, maybe blend the areas a little bit more using your finger or a blending stump. And the highlights, sometimes it gets a little bit murky from the pencil, so you could always use a white gel pen just to touch it up. And here I added an extra highlight right on the pupil. So that's pretty much it. So thanks a lot for watching. I hope you found this useful, and if so, please like and subscribe.